Hello there, everybody. How y'all doing? Well, it's getting more and more crazy out there, isn't it? I want to try to take us through what in the world is going on. Let's see if we can't make any sense of what's going on. What's going on behind what we're seeing? What's the underlying current that's we're seeing the outside manifestations of something that is working beneath the surface. And I just want to be able to try to expose some of this. I know it's going to really be helpful, and just see if we can't figure out really what's going on. There's so much more than what we're seeing. You know, we're seeing all these riots and stuff, and you know, what's the motivation? Why are they doing what they're doing? And so I want to try to expose that as best as I can biblically, and also with what I know concerning Islam. And I'm going to show you the connection here between Islam and this anti-fascist group, Antifa. And I think it'll make more sense once we understand what the Bible has to say about Islam in the last days, and how, well, as Lenin put it, the left, which would be these radical lefts such as Antifa, he referred to them as useful idiots. And these anti-fascists, these Antifa people, these are none other than useful idiots to accomplish a goal that it's not detectable, because unless you really know what's going on, you won't think that there's any connection between the two. But in reality, there's a major connection to bring about a world global plan to destroy America. And this is what they want to do, because actually behind it all, if you really want to look at the very bottom of this, the very underlying reason as to why all of these things happen, you're going to find it's fulfillment of Bible prophecy. You know, I know we got a lot of people that are wanting to, pray that America, that the coronavirus and all of this stuff stops. And while I want to, I'd like to be positive about it, like the next person, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, there will be a small lull where things will look like they're getting better, because the scriptures bring that out. And I want to talk about that, but not in this video. I want to break these videos up, because it'd be way too long to talk about all of this at one time. So I want to start out in Isaiah 28:15, and that verse is going to resonate throughout this teaching here. It's going to really let you know what you're not going to be able to hardly believe anything that you hear. False flags that America does, something that is in Islam. They call it taqiyya, and it's to deceive, to lie, in order for them to fulfill a particular agenda. They don't hesitate to lie as a Christian. We got conscience, and that conscience doesn't permit us to lie. I mean, we do still lie at times, but there's that conviction that sets in that we know that that's wrong. Well, the Quran encourages Allah, their God, their false god, Satan, encourages Muslims to lie, because it's to further their agenda. And if that's what it takes to further their agenda, then Allah's all behind that. Whatever we can do to deceive the people into accomplishing our goal. Now, Isaiah 28:15 says this: because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are in agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we, now listen to this part, for we have made lies, Lies, we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hid ourselves. Well, this refers to the globalists, Muslims, Antifa, Soros, whoever is a part of bringing about the destruction of America. It says that they have made lies their refuge. They, under this refuge of lies, and falsehood, they're hiding themselves. Their true colors are not seen because they lie, they mask, they guise themselves with these lies, but their heart is anything but what they're saying. For instance, like Charles Barkley said, once every 4 years, the Democrats, they appeal to the African American population community. And I think we all know what he meant by that these politicians, the Democrats on the left, they give us a bunch of lies on what they're going to do. We had a black president, Barack Obama, and even the black community will tell you that he didn't do anything for the African American community, whereas Donald Trump has done more than any other president. But that doesn't stop CNN and these mainstream media's outlets from lying. They don't care anyway. So, matter of fact, 2 Corinthians 5:12 says this: they appear, their appearance is one of glory. They glory in appearance. But their heart is far from you. They glory in appearance, but their heart is far from you. In other words, when they appear before the public to say whatever they're going to say, to appeal to the listener to get that vote, their heart is not near you. They don't care about you. I can tell you right now that the Democrats could care less about you. They don't have any intention of helping you whatsoever. They're going to lie because they want your vote. They want the power back that it was been given to the Republicans, and whatever it takes to get it back. That's why they want to lower the age of being able to vote. They're trying to push things like this. Let's go ahead and let 16-year-olds vote. Why? Because they've been brainwashed by the culture, by the school systems, by Common Core literature. It's all of this is anti-American, and we see the fruit of it in the kids' behavior today. Almost all of these videos, you're seeing that of the riots and these Antifa members, that they're so young, blocking the highways off. What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you blocking these highways off? Just, Trump needs to order these, I don't know what they call them, where they spray this power sprays. It'll knock them off their feet. I just can't fathom that this is going on in this country, but we're headed that direction, and it won't be long where America will be overtaken by a Democratic ruled people, and it's going to destroy this country. It's headed that way. Prayerfully, Trump will get elected. God will spare us a little more time. Otherwise, I'll tell you right now what's going on in Minneapolis and Chicago and around the world, where these cities and these states have been ran by Democrats for decades. You're going to see all of America look just like these cities and states that are Democratic ran. It's you can count on, mark my words, that will happen when the Democrats take over. So under they make lies their refuge, and under falsehood they hide themselves. And they said, we've made a covenant with death. In other words, they're not going. They think, we've made a covenant, a contract with death. Death is not going to touch us. We're going to escape the floods. We're going to escape all of the things that's coming, because we've entered into a contract, an agreement where we will survive all of the things that's getting ready to occur in America. And so you're going to see this. People are going to be talking, politicians and people. They're lying through their mouth. They don't mean it. They just want the power back, and then ultimately control you. They want to be your taskmasters. Is all they want to be. All right. Now, I want to read some things here to you. I don't want to bore you. It's not long, but I want to read some things. and it has to do, I've titled this Lies and Lawlessness, and you'll know when we get through with eventually with the series of this teaching here. FBI raid reveals Muslim Brotherhood plan to destroy USA. And you're going to see the connection here, that the Muslim Brotherhood and Antifa, and how members of Congress such as Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, they're supporting Antifa. How you can support any group that destroys property is beyond me. But once again, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, these are pro-radical Muslims that are in the United States of America's government. And that's hard to understand. It doesn't make any sense. But when you know what God's word says concerning what will happen in the last days in Islam and its entire rule of the globe, then you understand why, how people like this can get elected here in America. In the city of Annandale, Virginia, FBI agents discovered a 3-decade plan by upper echelon members of the Muslim Brotherhood to deconstruct the USA through inside operations. And I just mentioned, you got people like Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. During the Obama administration, the Muslim Brotherhood was said to be a moderate political group. This is during the Obama administration. They labeled the Muslim Brotherhood as a moderate political group. However, you got countries such as Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and other nations. They listed them as a terrorist organization. Isn't that something? Even the Middle East countries, Arab countries, Muslim countries, they themselves labeled this Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group. Now you say, what's the big deal about that? Well, if our government says, well, this is just a moderate political group, then you're not going to really give any type of concern or pay a lot of attention to them. It's like, for instance, if somebody labeled a copperhead snake, a rattlesnake, as a garden snake. Well, in our minds, a garden snake, I mean, you wouldn't want one in your house probably, but, a garden snake, they can't hurt you. They're not venomous. So, you don't really pay that much attention because they're not a deadly snake. And so that's what happens when you don't label something for what it really is. Matter of fact, it becomes much more dangerous because people are not paying attention to it. And when you're not paying attention to something, that's when it's able to do the work that it has been wanting to do all along. So you got other countries that are actually labeling the Muslim Brotherhood for what they are. And then you have it says the FBI agents discovered frightening material for a Muslim takeover of America. A Muslim takeover of America. And remember, Antifa is a group that is supported by these radical Muslims that are in our government. Why? Because you see, they want to take over America. They want to implement Sharia law. They want to get rid of the rule and law of America in the Constitution, and they want to replace it with Sharia law. And I'm telling you right now, as crazy as this sounds, that one day will happen in America, and it won't be too far off in the future. It says, even with this knowledge of what they found in the way of the information on the Muslim Brotherhood's desire to take over America, even with this knowledge, the Democrats continue to defend terrorists, and they do. They aid illegal aliens. Now, I've mentioned before, I'm for any and everyone coming over into this country legally. You see, the problem with illegal aliens and no walls, no border walls, anyone can come across. And you got, they've found many rugs, prayer mats that Muslims use to pray on in the desert coming across into America through Mexico. And they're coming in here, and they're not coming in here to better their lives. They're not coming over here because they want to be entrepreneurs and start their own companies. They're coming over here because they've been fueled by a book called the Quran, and it's teaching them to slay the infidels, to destroy those that aren't Muslims. And America, as far as they're concerned concerning America, we're the great Satan, and they want to take us out. Or as the saying goes, first the Saturday group, and then the Sunday. Saturday being the Jews, and then the Sunday being the Christians. And they want to destroy. That's why Iran and chants, destroy America, destroy Israel. They hate us because they're being fueled by a book called the Quran. And it's if you're a moderate Muslim, and I know that there are a ton of Muslims that want to live peacefully. I understand that they don't want to be any part of it. But the problem with that is that they're not practicing the real teachings of the Quran. They're only practicing the teachings of the Quran that's got the westernized, diluted version of the true Quran and its teachings. So, they're ignorant to what it really is saying. But if you were to go back and ask the scholars, the Islamic imams, and what their interpretation of the original writings are, it's clear. It's to completely dominate the entire globe. So, you try to convince Muslims over here, they're thinking, no, that's not what it says. And you look at different news outlets, the mainstream media, and they'll downplay what Muslims are. And I understand why, because they're taking the verses of the Quran, especially the ones that were before Muhammad went from Mecca to Medina, where he became more violent. He was a moderate before he became militant, and so they're taking the parts of the Quran that are peaceful. But there's what called the law of abrogation in Islam, and that's when Allah gives Muhammad something else, and it contradicts the earlier scripture verse. Then that previous one is to be abrogated. It's no longer in force, because now the later one is superior to the earlier one. That's called the law of abrogation in Islam. So here, let's see. We got the Democrats continue to defend terrorists, aid illegal aliens, thumb their noses at counter-terrorists and police. Everything I remember during the Obama administration, that when the police department was wanting more information concerning Muslims, this Obama administration didn't allow them to have critical information that they would need, not for racial profiling, but things they would need to be able to understand what these radical Islamists were doing. And they were forbidden to have this material, and that just absolutely blew me away. That's because you got all these people that were in the Obama administration that were pro-Muslim, and they started the ball rolling. That's this is where the ball started rolling to where we're at today, and it's just going to continue to escalate more and more. All right, it says that the Muslim Brotherhood will eventually perform Islamic jihad on America's soil. Now, Islamization, it occurs in 5 phases. Some of y'all might have heard this, but there's 5 phases to Islam, to Islamization, where it becomes eventually the law of the land. Sharia law becomes the law of the land. And by the way, in Daniel, I want to read Daniel 7:23, because you need to understand what God is saying here concerning the Islam and what eventually is going to happen, not just in America, but around the entire globe. And this is Daniel 7:23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth. This will be the last kingdom, which shall be diverse from all the other kingdoms that were before it. That was Daniel's interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And shall, now listen to this. This fourth kingdom, he says, it shall devour the whole earth. It shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. This is how ruthless this fourth kingdom is going to be. And it's not like many theologians, eschatology preachers used to preach, that Europe would be where the Antichrist, the beast. But you got to understand that in the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, that it had the last part of it, it was two legs. The two legs represent Western Europe and Eastern Turkey, Constantinople, modern day Istanbul, Turkey. And this is where, matter of fact, the Bible says in Revelation chapter 2, I think verse 12, that Pergamus, Jesus says, I know where you dwell, Pergamus, and where Pergamus is, it says it's Satan's seat or Satan's throne. Well, where's Pergamus? Pergamus is modern day Istanbul, Turkey, historic Constantinople. So this is where the Ottoman Empire came out of, the Islamic Turkey Ottoman Empire. So everything's going to come back, to Islam. And so right here we see in this fourth kingdom, it's not the Western Europe, it's the Eastern Turkey, Ottoman Empire, Islamic Empire that will rule the entire globe before the return of the Lord. Now that you know that, and you understand, according to the scriptures, that it will rule the entire world, which means you're not going to stop it, because if God says it, you're not going to stop anything that God says. All right, now, here's your 5 phases of Islamization. This will help you understand what's going on, to give you some insight. Number 1 is secret establishment of leadership, which is to infiltrate in various sectors of the government. Think about that. This is where you have different members of Islam. They infiltrate these different sectors of the government. This is where and why we have people in there now. Keith Ellison, which, he's Minnesota, Democrat of Minnesota. Ilhan Omar, and I think one of her districts is Minneapolis, where the George Floyd was killed. You see all these things that, this is being put, now they're not pushing the death of people. I wouldn't think so. Then again, if it could further their cause, they would be behind it. I know some of you might think that was hateful for me to say that a human would say that, but I'm telling you what, nothing's going to stop what they want to get done. They want to destroy America. And so we're seeing this being played out right now. So the first phase of Islamization is they want to establish leadership secretly. Number 2, gradual appearance in the public arena and exercise public activities. I noticed that, I guess 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago it started, where I started seeing more and more commercials and things that were pro-Muslim. And I thought that was kind of strange at the time, when I was seeing these pro-Muslim ads and pro-Islamic, and I thought, that's weird. Why are they doing that in America? Well, now I know, because that's phase 2. And, when you continue to show, and it didn't show the evil side of Islam. It showed the what would appear to be the good side and the friendly side. And, we want to assimilate into society, and we want to be a part of this great country of America. Takia lies, because they're wanting to eventually turn America into a Sharia law and a entire Islamic Iran country. Now, he says the number 3 would be the escalation phase. And this phase, they utilize the media. They take the media, the mainstream media, and they utilize them to escalate their agenda. Here, they're starting to become more aggressive by using the media for their purpose and their cause. Number 4, open public confrontation with government through political pressure. How does that work? Well, they cry things such as Islamophobia. Anytime anyone said anything about a Muslim that did something in the way of the bombers, and every terrorist attack, 98% of them are done by Muslims, and therefore, you call a spade a spade. Well, this is a Muslim, and is there a connection there? They shout before they do it. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Okay, is there a connection between their Allahu Akbar and them blowing up people? Well, I love it when it said, the police are still investigating the cause. Hello, Allahu Akbar, and they blow you up. That's you don't have to have a rocket science to figure out the root cause of why they're doing what they're doing. They're being fueled by none other than this religious book of Islam, this political ideology to take over the world. So, and then not do they only cry Islamophobia, but then you got, they confront leaders such as Rashida Tlaib. I'm sure most of you all remember where she made a statement where she said, we're going to impeach the mother effer, referring to our president. Isn't that something? Can you imagine having, and it's not just, people like her that are Muslims, but it's, the Democratic Party that are controlled by demonic spirits, under total control of demonic spirits, the Democratic Party. But, this is, once again, it's part of biblical fulfillment. Okay, now, number 5, this is their 5th and final phase, and that is the seizing power to establish their Islamic nation under which all parties, that's Democrat, Republican, Independent, etc., are united with Islamic groups. That is their 5th and final phase. So when here we're seeing that now, we're in between 4 and 5. That's the phase we're at right now, between 4 and 5 of Islamization of America. So we're going to continue this teaching next time, but just really, go over what you learn here. Share this video, pass it on as many people as you can. Hopefully YouTube won't take it off, but we're getting close, guys. Boy, if there's ever time to be right with the Lord, it's now. Love you guys. Look forward to talking to you again.